I will share the correct screen. Huge success. Welcome, everybody, to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting on April 25th. It looks like we do have one community. Do you want to go over this community PR first?
Yeah, we can just, this is for your information. There is an RFC in the community to move to GitHub packages instead of the Docker Hub. For the public images that we have for the CFCLI and the stack, Cloud Foundry stack.
There's some pseudo public ones in the Bosch Docker Hub account. I don't know. It's like the Bosch CLI. There's like one that we published with the Bosch CLI. I don't know if anybody ever uses it, but like it's there, but I don't think we need to worry about it. Nobody's complained about it. And yeah.
And you had some comments last time regarding GitHub packages. If you have feedback, Joseph, I mentioned you on the RFC.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a look, see what the details are. But yeah, we used it. It was weird, but it worked. It was just weird in that like it felt like it was built by very different teams at GitHub, because it was like, oh yeah, push the repo, and then like later associate it with the actual repository by adding this weird tag thing. I'm like, this feels strange, but I don't know. It worked. It worked, and the end result seems good. The concourse resource for pushing didn't allow it very easily with the way we were doing it, because we were doing the Linux stem cell, and when you that one we're importing from an exported from the image file, and the concourse resource, when you import something, you cannot add tags to it. Like there's just no if condition there. So, but like most teams are probably building Docker images, and I think there you can tag it, and there if you tag it correctly, it gets associated with the right repo. But that part really doesn't matter that much, because once it's associated, any future pushes to the same repository are associated with the same GitHub repository. So it's not a big deal, the weirdness, and we could fix the concourse resource if it became a problem, but it's not, because we just clicked the button once and then it was fine. Okay. Anything else about this? I'll take a look at that when I get a
for your
chance.
information, check. It's has been published last week, so it's at the moment we are waiting for feedback from people. Yeah.
All right. PRs. Bosch deployment. What is? Looks like got confirmation that this was a sane thing to do. What was this? 9 minutes. 9 minutes ago, just in time. I'll add a review and merge this. This definitely seems like the correct thing to do.
Interesting why we didn't contribute to this.
Oh, you actually have an ops file to change this? I mean, the cert stuff when it was built, and to this day, a very small subset of people understand the right way of doing it. And it takes often a lot of time to understand it. And then like next week, it's just gone from your brain. Like
when you get that one working and you never touch it.
You're like, yep, everything works. Do not touch.
Yeah, after a really painful week, finally you get that working ops file, and then the next, like after the weekend, it's like gone, context-wise.
This one's still waiting for more reviews, but it doesn't actually do anything because these properties have been disconnected from reality for a couple of years. But we'll wait for another review on it. There's no urgency in this because it doesn't do anything. Just some cleanup.
That's the
Nice.
VirtualBox.
Assume these are
didn't
the-
respond yet, so
That one.
that's also VirtualBox for Benjamin.
Why is Benjamin not here?
It's missing.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen him for the past month, so
But he's really active in the notes. I don't know why. In the meeting notes, he's always.
he's scared that he gets assigned things.
Maybe he has a standing conflict with this meeting.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe he's watching all the recordings and then being active in the comments when they talk.
Okay. So this one, we asked for the original contributors feedback, and looks like he made a new PR. So we'll probably see that in a minute. Yeah. Let's just see what that one looks like before we figure out what to do with that one. Let's go. Yeah, let's not skip it. This is from a while back.
I haven't had time for bootloader stuff.
All right. Still pending review then. So this is allegedly to do something which will presumably fix the other thing.
Yeah, this is the PR mentioned from the
Yeah. So 645 at Aram. And was Ryan Upton had, I think he was just added as reviewer, doesn't necessarily have, well, maybe he wasn't actually. I'll ping him anyway. We'll add the just add the groups. What did I say? 645?
645. Yeah. No pressure, so hurry up.
Oh, somebody forgot to drag it. Where you find documentation for enable auto anti-affinity DRS rules property. Oof. Isn't it self-documenting? Like if it's that long, it must be self-documenting, right?
It's vSphere. I'm out.
Interesting. Oh, anti-affinity DRS rules. That's probably fair, but I don't really know. I wonder who we should add to this. Like Cunny, and we probably only need one reviewer. I'll set the life cycle in case. Sure. Chris has touched vSphere before. Where are we? Bosch? Oh, I don't like this at all. Interesting.
Oh, we're finally going from 8 to 11? Dude, that must break something.
Is the Docker file install java.sh? Oh, the integration. Newer CredHub versions require. All right, fun stuff. I was kind of confused. I was like, doesn't this get auto bumped? But no, this lives. This is not part of the Bosh repo. This is just part of that Docker file that starts everything. I'm kind of surprised this hasn't ruined everything. Like, if this is true, shouldn't like all of the Bosh pipeline be broken?
It's probably only needed for the CredHub pipeline for now.
Well, I mean, this is in the well, I assume this is part of the Bosh integration Docker image.
Yeah, so
which
if you merge it, it will probably break pipelines, that uses Java. But who else is using? Only the UAA and CredHub is using Java. As far
But
as
I mean,
know.
like they are bringing their own Java, right? So it's only if you have an integration test that spins out, like starts CredHub without
right,
the release.
the Bosh integration tests start UAA and CredHub locally in the
Mhm.
container, which I assume the integration image
Yes.
is where they do that. And I assume that if they've bumped CredHub to a version, we auto bump that normally. I don't know.
I would assign someone from the UAA team in the.
We do that? Is that legal? Who's on the UAA team?
They are not in the area, not in this area, so they won't be able to. You won't be able to assign them.
Yeah, I mean, we can just look at it's our Docker image. We can just look at, yeah.
I would say we merge it and then we see what breaks, right? Like then like I don't know what I usually do that, and then sometimes like overnight magically all the pipelines go green again. I don't know who does that, but it's a great strategy. Hey, for time zones.
Oh, this does seem probably correct. And yeah, I'm guessing like Constantine didn't go trolling through random Docker images looking for like what's something that won't work with the latest CredHub, since he's not working on CredHub. So I'm guessing this caused a problem somewhere. I'm just sort of
Yeah, no.
surprised that it didn't break the director pipelines that heavily use this image, or hasn't
Yeah, so
broken.
so they use he reached out to me. So they have a pipeline for some component, I don't remember which one, that uses this image to spin up a CredHub, and they run into this. So
Do you think we should just merge it?
yeah, I think so. And so that CredHub that we're spinning up ourselves, are we also bumping that the version of the CredHub that we're testing with?
I have no idea. I think most of that stuff comes from a different different it pulls stuff out of like Bosh deployment and stuff to like get all the right versions of things. The way it gets all the stuff is terrible. All these Docker images are terrible. We might not, it's possible that we don't run this install Java for whatever reason. Maybe we yank apart the Bosh release. I don't know. Who knows? It might be we use the Bosh integration image. No, we run the integration tests, which start everything. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible that the spec helper in Bosh installs Java in a totally different way. This isn't a script that the director pipelines even use.
Should we let them know in the Slack channel about this, the UA people? Oh,
I mean, I doubt the
This is
UAA
not their
people use
image.
this. Yeah, this
is our image. It's
in the Bosh director. This Bosh integration thing. Really, whatever's, I don't know. We need a better way of doing this type of thing, of getting the Bosh dependencies running, manually pulling them in via some random scripts in a Docker image that have their components manually pinned to stuff, like isn't the most sustainable thing, but I don't know. For now, we have larger stuff to worry about. Unless all the director pipelines go red. Then we'll worry about it. EFI based stem cells. Long's been working on this for a little while, I think.
I didn't do a review, just looking through the changes, and I had just a comment. It's not a review.
Right. Only 3 files.
And why has he been looking so
Device
long at it?
partitioner. And is EFI
Yeah.
something that's only going to impact vSphere for now, or is that something that we can start doing on other
No, the
clouds too?
plan that I heard from Long was that they want to do it want to switch from Grub to from MBR to no, from the normal BIOS to UFI.
And would that's part of the core stem
Noble.
cell image?
It's part of a Noble upgrade. So when we want to do is with Noble, everyone wants to go wants to move away from the. And I think it had something to do with the new. It was specifically for vSphere, because they had some startup issues or something, or some features
It had to do with
with
if you want to
GPU
use
enabled.
yeah, if you want to use GPUs with more than 16 gigabytes of RAM or something.
Right. Which you wouldn't.
And I think so. It's not only vSphere related. I think that you also have those on public cloud, right?
They
Yeah.
want to do it for all of them.
Yeah.
Well, they asked my opinion. Said, "Do you mind?" And I said, "No, I don't care."
For Noble, it makes sense, but I don't think we cannot do this.
Yeah,
for
it's
Zen.
only for Noble.
Yeah. Wait, how was that only for Noble? Was it the agent just, if you boot it with EFI, it does the right thing? Got it.
Basically an extra allowance.
Extra if somewhere. Wash Azure CPI release.
A few weeks ago, right, we introduced this workaround. Now, in the meanwhile, we double checked if this is still necessary. And it turns out it's not. So we want to factor it out again. Seems
Azure
like
fixed
it's
it.
fixed on the Azure side. But I did not review it today. I guess Ange proposed it this morning, yesterday evening. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Seems nice to clean up that. This is like a very upsetting thing about Azure is they seem to like temporarily break stuff like twice a year, it seems like.
At least we can plan for it then, right? If you know it's
That's right.
twice a year. Book some time in your calendar.
Oh. S3 CLI. This was, I remember talking about this. Rather than making a whole new CLI, adding some properties to do signed URLs with using Swift Blob Store.
Exactly. So signing is working differently on Swift Blob Store than in S3. And that should be implementation.
Seems fairly minimal to make that happen. Way better than making a whole new CLI.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Looked at that already. Take a look at issues.
But so now it's introducing an auth account while you already have. Is that a different thing?
Sounds like somebody wants to be a reviewer.
Yeah.
Strangely, yes. Let's I should be searching for that. Oh, there's a, oh no, that's path. Oh, it's
Swift
part of the
auto.
path. Interesting. It's only used as part of the URL, looks like.
I see.
Yeah, and it's
That's-
very Swift specific. Yeah.
And it's different than from the access key ID.
Yeah. Yeah.
See. Weird.
Does this name make sense in Swift?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like just looking at the code, I'm like, this doesn't seem like an auth account. This seems
Yeah,
like a
no,
path or
no.
a
In the
bucket or something.
documentation, you find now you have to add your auth account, and then you are searching for half a day what that auth account could be. But finally, you find what a Swift auth account is, and then
All right, that makes sense then. All right. When did we last have a meeting? 25 minus 7. Nobody can do math. Wasn't March. Was there all today? This one seems, oh no. Oh no. So yeah, so I did some work on this and it's real bad. So the ideal goal for Bosch DNS was to just do this, is just put the Bosch DNS IP into a new config here. It will show up in the global configs. And then because systemd resolved queries all the DNS servers in parallel, the DNS queries will end up at the DNS server. They'll end up at the other server too, but ours are going to come back with an answer. Turns out the other ones come back with an answer too, and it's in X domain. So it's like systemd resolved like in X domain doesn't exist, which is not the outcome that we wanted. So then the second goal was sort of the original stretch goal, which was, well, when we configure the DNS server in the config, let's also give it routing domains so that it will only talk to this server for the Bosch top level domains, basically, which is kind of hard because then we're gonna have to like pull them out. Like Bosch DNS has like some configs for additional ones, and we got to pull them out of the aliases to like do all the stuff. It was going to be ugly, but it turns out we don't have to do that because it doesn't work anyway. Because top level configs here cannot specify routing domains to only use these DNS servers for these things. If you're a top level config, you are global and you are used for everything regardless. The only way you can use routing domains, it's systemd resolved seems like it is not DNS, even though you are configuring a DNS server, it is much more interface specific. So really you configure a DNS server for an interface. And if any of the DNS servers on that interface have search domains, like all the DNS servers on that interface will be like, it's like the traffic's going through this interface. So basically we don't have an interface to hang this config off of. Maybe we can use the loopback device, but my attempts to do that were not super successful because systemd resolved mostly is like, we don't configure the loopback device interface because that's not something you'd ever send DNS queries on. So I don't know. Tomorrow I'm going to take another crack at it, but like so far it hasn't been super successful, which might lead us back to basically turning off systemd resolved entirely and just going back and having Bosch DNS manage etc resolve conf, which is worse because now we don't have resolve conf as a tool, so it's going to be much harder to construct the file, and then we get like none of the benefit from systemd resolved. So far it's gone really badly, but if anybody has brilliant ideas, definitely go for them. All that nonsense I just rambled about is also down here. It's bad, and it's going to be a blocker for Noble until we figure it out.
Otherwise, we can revert back to ResolveConf and try to find the PPA repo which still has ResolveConf.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, it's awkward. It's like, do we stay in the past with our tools, which has always been a problem, or do we use the new tools but like go super off the rails for how those tools want to be used, which has also causes problems. So there's some hope that we can use the loopback device as sort of the interface, the link to hang Bosch DNS off of, and then use the routing domains with that. But It involves using the dbus to configure it because you can't use a config file to configure an interface. You have to use the dbus, which I've started figuring out and is not obvious.
Does it make sense to look how the Kubernetes world, what the Kubernetes world does here? Do they have the same issue? Most probably, yes. They have also internal.
They have internal DNS sort of stuff.
kubedns.
Yeah.
They're using core DNS, I think, directly.
Core DNS, kubedns. Yeah.
Yeah, kubedns.
And is someone from Canonical, one of the Canonical guys, able to help or point us to a person who can?
Yeah, it's also something.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll dig into how kubedns works.
I'll have to leave, but yeah, it's interesting. This is.
We looked at this and I don't remember this. Oh, this was the first boot stuff.
Oh yeah, I haven't. I will make a PR tomorrow.
What am I hovering over here? Is this another issue?
Oh, that's because
Oh, this is the list.
I mentioned, yeah, there was this, like, Noble needs to keep up to date with the Jammy PRs,
Mm.
and this was one of them. Like with the SBOM stuff needs to be merged into Noble, and this one, and probably some other PRs as well.
I wonder if we could just merge like that thing that Git does. You just merge Jammy into Noble because there's nothing in Jammy that we don't want in Noble, right?
Well, I deleted a lot of Jammy related stuff already from the.
Right, but those things haven't been touched, so it'll just merge the new commits over into Noble.
I have really bad experience with these kind of things.
We do it on a very complicated repo internally, and it is amazing as a workflow because you just never lose like stuff. Like it's, oh, we did that over there and didn't bring it over here. And like you think you're gonna have all this pain and you just don't. It just like gets like, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I will leave you to it then.
When we get to that point. It's worth running a like just git merge that into that and like see what happens. Like often you'll get like a number of conflicts on like the like Blobster CLIs. Oh, these are changing both points. But if they've both been auto bumped to the same spot, it's like not a conflict. And if they have, you're like, well, take the noble ones.
The first thing I saw today was that a commit was already made to fix something of my issues in Noble, and I had the exact same commit and push that, and it says, hey, I already have this. I'm not going to do anything with it. I never have seen this. Normally I get conflicts.
Yeah, that's actually weird.
It's probably a new feature of Git because Git was updated for me like last week, but yeah.
And this was just brought over to the list also. And then our syslog list.
Yes, I don't see. I've created an issue today for Bosch agent, but I don't see it.
That was last week's meeting. And then are these all just probably being moved over to the list?
Yeah, I've been added them all to the task list that Ruben created last week.
All right. Or, oh. Yeah. Double check that there weren't any also comments on them.
No, I made all those.
Hmm. All right.
Oh no, it is there. Noble switch.
When was this created? 3 days ago? This is probably why I wanted to better document the property. Ever existing large number of deployments.
I don't even know what DRS rules are.
Disaster recovery something, I think, or dynamic. It's something to do, well, it's anti-affinity rules. So it's like, hey, I don't want all my Go routers running on the same ESX host. So it's like defining rules to, because like vSphere doesn't know. It's like, I want a VM, I want another VM. And it doesn't know that those are both Go routers and they should not all be on one ESX host.
Ah, okay.
So DRS rules are to like, these things should be spread out.
Like what
and
we
then-
normally do with zones this time.
Well, zones are different because vSphere, you can have zones. You can have these ESX hosts are this zone, these are this zone, but you still don't want, if you have one zone that has 50 ESX hosts in it, you still don't want everything sort of potentially getting on the same host. So it's further spreading things out within zones, sort of to make sure that one host doesn't take you down. But really, that's what you should be using zones for, which is why I think that we've never really done a lot of work on DRS rules. It's like, yeah, you should be able to lose a whole zone and be fine. So why bother spreading things out?
DRS stands for Distributed Resource Scheduler.
Wasn't gonna guess that. It feels open for contribution. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of text here, so it's probably correct. Noble PAM last log is deprecated.
Yes, so PAM last log is used within the is for logging when SSH when you log into the SSH. So if you log in via SSH, there is a log message being sent to syslog. And that's what PAM last log did, but PAM last log is now deprecated due to it was insecure messaging or whatever. They have now, there is a successor PAM last log 2, but this is only included within the util Linux package, which brings a lot more other stuff and libraries in it as well. So yeah, do we say, okay, we don't care about the last log and we handle that somehow something else with other logging rules that we have for rsyslog or whatever, or journal or whatever, however they fix it. I have not looked into that. So yeah, that was
Interesting.
I just didn't want to add, so like, oh yeah, it's last log 2 isn't here, and we just add another package again. So I just wanted to have this as
Yeah. Is the fact that it's deprecated causing us problems? Is it actually removed from repos?
like it's removed from everything related to Noble.
Okay.
It's just
But then they
new
jammed it in
versions.
this other meta package.
Nope. No last log is, they say it's just unsecure, so we remove it at all.
And here, you can now
Yeah.
get it by bringing in a bunch of other stuff that might also have problems.
Yeah, they just said, yeah, don't rely on PAM last log, handle it somewhere else because it's something from the ancient days or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, probably the best first step is an investigation into like, can we do this? Do we need this? Like whatever outcome this is, like this SSH log or whatever, like, I don't know. Is that even relevant? All right. Discussion or contribution?
It's a discussion.
Discussion. I guess we don't know what to do, so it's hard to say it's open for
Yeah.
contribution.
Yes, well, Constantine and I saw because we moved to NFT tables for the Monet firewall rules in the stem cell builder, because well, NFT tables is basically the successor of IP tables. Makes it easier to do stuff with C groups. We saw that there is like adding logs or adding IP tables within the Bosch agent that does it for the nets and for Monet as well. And we wanted to move that to NFT tables, and we came across this Golang library, which is horrible, as you can see. It's just nobody can read it. How, like even like how port 5000 is being handled, like on lower lines. How this is calculated. It's like, dude, like, what the hell is happening?
Oh,
That looks
Yeah.
secure.
It was a
I
really
mean-
interesting day.
I think this is impressive because I think it would have actually been more legible if they just let us write regexes. They somehow made something that's less readable than a regex.
Yes. It's,
Huh.
yeah, it's something else. Yeah, but this was Constantine's approach, and he said maybe it's better to handle those rules not in the agent at all, but in the stem cell.
You can't do it in the stem cell. For Monet.
No, also for nets.
For
Monet,
nets,
for Monet, we
nets-
already did it. So the Monet part can already be removed from the agent, basically.
oh, because the Monet part's in the stem cell now.
Monet was always in the stem cell. I don't know why it was in the stem cell, and the rules was also added and checked within the agent.
Interesting.
You
What
can
about for
check it.
Windows? There was some code in there for doing it on Windows too.
Yeah, this was only for Linux, because if you look at Fireball Linux.
Oh, right. There's no Monet on Windows.
If you scroll up, you will see like here Firewall.
Firewall. Yeah. The Monet stuff was only Linux. The NAT stuff was Windows and
Yes, well, in
Linux.
Firewall Provider Linux, there's also for basically for the IP tables for
Yeah.
Linux. And Constantine thought, well, maybe it's better to do it all in the so make an extra unit file which checks if the agent is done or finished or whatever, or checks an endpoint, and then retrieves the port number and if it's HTTPS or not, because it seems like if HTTPS or full qualified domain name, then we cannot apply then currently the nets rules are not applied at all. Because of Bosch create env and it does some weird
Right.
shit.
Well, creative is weird because that doesn't actually use NATs. Oh, well, it does on the outbound for the NAT server. Yeah. I think we wanted it not to be enabled. We wanted it not to be enabled on the director because you don't know all the ways that NATs works on the director.
Yes.
And the security
Well-
concern was on workloads, and you don't run any customer workloads on the Bosch director, user workloads. Yeah, the concern was somebody sniffing out the AWS metadata, getting the NATS creds, shipping those over to another, or I guess then like using those in a Diego cell to connect to NATS, and then using those creds to then sniff NATS traffic. So blocking it from everything except the Bosch director was like, yeah, it solves that problem. So that's why the director wasn't really cared about. And also we didn't want to break both the director and, maybe somebody creates a NAT server and we don't want to break them. So it was very targeted for only firewall off the one from settings.json that goes back to the director's NATs. That's the one endpoint that we should be firewalling, and then only allow the agent to talk to it.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
we can add with the example that I got, we can do that with the CMD exec in the agent code, and then we have the NFT rules instead of the IP table rules. The
yeah,
IP table rules still need to be in there, but if C groups v2, then we should use NFT rules.
right.
Because for now, the rules don't do anything for C group v2. It just adds the IP tables, but it will never be hit.
Okay, so then
Just maybe a
Uh,
stupid question, but aren't there like libraries that make it easier to write these things?
that's what it
No.
is. It's a library that makes it easier to write NFT rules.
Okay.
You should see how hard it is to do manually.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Isn't there another library that you're gonna use on top of this?
To go away.
Yeah, and so Constantine did is like, so first we did like we built a test where we got the output of like with all the bytecodes, and then we just basically retrieved those and made it into this. It was
Wow.
yeah, it was
All right. Is it ready
On the other
for
hand, like if the code is there, we can have a test for it. Not something we have to change, right?
you can have an integration test for it, but the the agent integration tests are terrible, but you could possibly add one.
I would be fine with this code if we have an integration test.
Your mic sounds like it's covered too. You were very muffled.
Yeah, I was muted, double muted or something. I don't know.
but yeah, it's open for discussion for you guys. You have more knowledge about it. It's just like we either do the NFT tables added in the boss agent or in the stem cell. If we're doing it in the agent, is doing in stem cell, we also need like several conditions checks. If it needs to be added, does it already exist, the rule? Is the MBus HTTPS like what we currently have? Are we on a Warden stem cell, etc.? So we either get that logic into the stem cell or we keep it in the agent. I think that for testability, it's a bit annoying to do it in the agent, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, if you put it in stem cell, it just never gets tested, right?
That's true.
I know originally, I don't know if it was for NATs or for Monet, but we originally tried doing one of those and like an IF up down script or something. And like that was just did not work correctly. I think there was a version of the Bosch vector that was cut that was, or a stem cell that was cut that was bad with that in there. And it just like sometimes prevented the network from coming up. But like, yeah, maybe a system to unit would be a different way of going. I mean, one nice thing about the agent is then you don't have to worry about, well, you still kind of have to worry. Just like the Windows side of things. Like right now, it's like there's a Windows firewall provider, and you definitely know that like these things are happening the same on both stem cells, or at least the life cycle of the agent's the same. But maybe it doesn't need to be a life cycle of the agent thing. Maybe it should be a stem cell responsibility. I don't know.
It's up to you to think about it.
It's a little bit.
I have no opinion about this.
It's a little bit awkward because it is kind of an agent concern, because like when the stem cell comes up, there's no data. You can't do it when the stem cell first starts. You have to wait for it to fetch settings.json to know what should we be firewalling off, for the NATs at least. Monet, like, yeah, you could do Monet wherever.
Yeah, it's going to also be an issue within the stem cell because we need to write some script to read out the agent settings and check if the Bosch agent is actually okay or whatever. Or we even need to make an endpoint in the agent like says, I'm started. Now you can do your stuff or whatever. I don't know.
Oh. All right. It does feel one thing about the agent that does feel it feels more self-contained versus putting it in the stem cell. Then it's going to have to be like well, we're making this like we're going to like flag this C group as having access, the only person access to this thing in the settings.json. And I sure hope the agent, when it starts up, puts itself in that C group. Or I guess, is that controlled by the stem cell too?
That's controlled by the stem cell. It's even is controlled by systemd. You cannot even enter these NFT tables when it restarts or starts, because every time it restarts, it gets basically a new C group.
Right.
It will be in the same location, but again, it needs to be so every time when it restarts, it basically needs to the NFT tables needs to be restarted.
Which you could make part of, well, if we were starting the agent with systemd, you could make it part of that life cycle in some way, shape, or form, I guess.
Yes.
But I guess the problem is when it starts, it doesn't have settings.json. So you have to make it run after start.
So what we also did with Monet was that for the root user is able to go through it, and Bosch agent is run by root user. So everything that root user triggers, a program or whatever, that will go through that traffic is allowed.
Right.
Also something we could do for the Bosch for the nets, but yeah, I think maybe that's how far do we want to go? That's basically what we
We want to put up a big enough speed bump.
yeah, but it's like if you have root access, okay, then maybe you already know everything.
Yeah. Just merge. We'll see how this goes the first time we want to do it. But maybe merging answers this problem. Otherwise, we have to just keep cherry picking stuff over.
Yeah. That's the task listing.
Ruben says noble stem cells an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just keep this in the inbox.
You know what's really annoying? When yesterday the stem cell everything was working for you, and now you try it again with the same thing and it doesn't work anymore.
Oh. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.
See ya.
See ya.